everybody. You're going to hear our music double in the background. It's probably going to be annoying for a little bit. Our IT guy is on our computer, so I can't actually control it.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Okay. Hey, it's time for Minute to Skim It here on The Experience. If you don't know what that is, congratulations. You get to learn the good things today. This is when we tell you what's coming out this week in time for you to run to your phone or to your LCS and say, I heard there was a hot book this week and I don't want to miss it. So,
and there's a lot of good stuff coming out this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some big time future keys, minor keys, and other kinds of fun stuff that are coming out this week. I am finished with my shares. It's important so I can have my customers know what's coming out this week as well. We have a new reader and co-host on the show. This is Liam, currently straight out of it's not the Shire. Where do the elves live?
There's so many.
They have a place, the forest. We'll just call it the forest.
That works.
Just to read and to hang out with us.
Yes.
So he only read 6 books, so I'm going to do 2 or so for every one that you do. I'm going to go first.
Go ahead.
So you can see how it goes. Don't do as I do. Do better. All right, so there's amazing books out this week, and like always, I'm going to say there are surprise books, right? I pick out a bunch of books where I'm just like, okay, I want to have a good representation of what's coming out this week and not try to pick only things that I think I'll like, because that's not helpful, right? I'm never going to find anything new to like if I'm always reading things that I already like. So sometimes I pick up books thinking to myself, okay, well, this will be a book that I'm going to review and be like, it's all right. But like always, you guys know me well by now, that those books are often the ones where I'm like, well, dadgummit, now I have to have another book to add to my piles every week because it's so amazing. And I should have known, honestly, by the people that worked on this book. This book is X-Men Unlimited. It's called Latitude. And it's by Jonathan Hickman and Declan Shalvey. Declan's a friend of mine, so I should have known that it was going to be amazing. And because it's Hickman, it's of course tied to the Hickman X-Men universe because it's his universe, of course. And this one actually deals with I don't remember what the thing is called, but it's basically part of Krakoa in space on a big kind of like long space station kind of thing. And the beginning of the book, they have a big notification that happens that somebody has not only breached the security there, but has already been and gone.
Ooh.
And it turns out it's AIM. That's not really a big spoiler. And they have come to grab what all you know is biological material, which turns out to be, some mutants, and has taken off with them. The cool part about this book isn't just the cool storyline that's happening here with like, what are they up to and why are they doing this? Shoop! They're actually being led by a very specific bad guy who I love because it's just one of those very underrated baddies that you can't really ever get rid of because he's unkillable, but not for the traditional reasons. And they believe that this event that what they're doing, this having to go get the biological material, is the only way forward for this organization to survive. Otherwise, I think it's weird. It's like they predict, like in 5 years, our organization won't exist anymore, and less. So, and the art is killer. It's a really thick book, and it's a lot because there are huge sets of pages that are mostly image instead of, exposition. And it doesn't feel at all like some books might feel like they're just trying to like spread out a bunch of art so that they can fill up a book and be done with it. That's not what this feels like at all. This feels like I want to make every single page of this book something someone wants to own and spend lots of money on the originals for. It's really what it felt like to me. So I hope there are actual originals to this because it's really beautiful. So this is something that's likely to be something your LCS only ordered in short supply. because it is just a sidebar book with a, just kind of like not the main storyline, but it turns out it's super important to the main storyline of everything that's going on for the X-Men. So don't miss out on that.
Well, that's definitely something I need to check out.
You would love. Oh, the art. Oh my gosh. Okay. And this was kind of a heartbreaking series now. This is part of the Scout stuff that I'm going to be reviewing today. We get all of our Scout pretty much at once. Your LCS might be getting it from the traditional distributor Diamond, in which they're going to have a regular release date. We don't. We get ours all at one time. So we're reviewing most everything that's coming out for this whole month from Scout today. So it'll be easier for you to make sure to not miss things. So some of the books you might see, you might be like, hey, that came out a couple weeks ago. It's a brand new release day for us. This one is A Broken Eye. It is actually done by what I guess are got to be brothers, Martin and Xavier Exteberia, which is the coolest name. Look at that name, Exteberia. It is one of these like really cool slice of life with just a little bit of magic thrown in. That is about this guy. I'm going to say boy because it seems like they've got him as a young man. That has had real tragedy happen in his life, and because of that, there's something weird going on with one of his eyes. Hence the title of the story. But mostly, I'm telling you, it is kind of like him dealing with the deaths of key people in his family and then moving forward from that. And I'm a pure sucker for people having to go through real life drama. So I know it's all tense. It's not like it's not someone's life story or anything.
Exactly.
But I like that it feels that way enough for me to like actually buy into caring very much for this character and to really wonder what in the world is going on with this fellow.
And you can really connect yourself to the story in some way or another.
Yeah.
Not like personally, but
yeah, it's like like these characters, the people themselves are so far away from anybody that I actually know that they feel new and fresh to me. But yeah, you're right. It's like one of those things like they're real enough that you'd be like, okay, it's not so far fetched that this could actually be going on.
Yes.
Liam's turn.
Okay, let me figure out what I want to do first. Let me just get the FaceClan out of the way, mostly because I found it. So it is a collaboration with a gaming group called FaceClan. And I got it initially because the meme, because I thought it would be hilarious. I was kind of underwhelmed. It was very much like the trope of you die in the game, you die for real, which I've seen done so many times. And I wasn't expecting that. And the main protagonist in it is the Riddle. It's the Riddler. It's explained on the first page, so it's not really a spoiler. And I did find out while doing some research on this that if you put all five, I believe there's five variants together, it makes up a giant picture. That for me personally, I feel like that would be the only takeaway that I would take from it. I would not personally continue following up the series, in my own personal opinion. But if you do enjoy FaceClan or anything that is involving FaceClan or Batman, I recommend picking it up. And if you do enjoy the tropes that comes along with if you die in the game, you die for real, I recommend it. It is definitely like if you put Gotham into World of Warcraft. That's what I got out of it, at least. But like I said, if you enjoy FaceClan, you'd probably enjoy this book, if I'm being honest. It only takes place in the game, and there's not really, I guess, like, I don't know how to explain it, but 1v1 versus every villain until you get to the very end, and that's it, if I'm being honest.
Did FaceClan help write it?
No, that I'm aware of. But I guess they're partnered with them. That's all I know.
Who did this book?
I have no
There you
clue.
go. That's right. Sometimes I just wonder if when you have these kinds of like collaborations, if there's so much input from the non-writers, although they're super creative, they have to be right if they're going to be doing these kinds of games. But that sometimes I think that maybe it gets real hard to do all the things
Yeah.
that are being asked of the group that you're working with. They show, oh yeah, you'll be cool as if you put in a horse with magic hooves. Or as I tell my son all the time, because he's a DM for D&D, I tell him all the time, that's a variant of some sort.
Yeah,
I tell him all the time, you know what you should do? You should have a dragon with ruby teeth, and that your clan could go and hunt this dragon down and steal his ruby teeth. And my son just rolls his eyes at me. And now his new roommate was like, we need to totally do that. Which is like great. My mom now has embarrassed me a whole bunch. I know it's a dumb idea, by the way, but I just think it would be fun.
It would be very entertaining.
It would be very risky, I think. Let's see. Okay, I've been looking very much forward to this because I've interviewed Chris Williams, I think, a couple of times now. This is part of the Scout line under Scoot, which is their young ages imprint. So this is for all ages, although I can tell you right now, I read it all the way through and never once thought to myself, wow, this is aimed at a young audience. I was thinking to myself when I was done and thinking to myself, is this YA? That I don't remember there being anything too terribly scary or foul language or those kinds of things. So this is my way of saying it's not aimed to a YA audience so much as it's acceptable for a YA audience. And it really is a true superhero universe book, in which you have just regular characters or people that feel like regular characters, but you find out actually do have powers. Trying to remember, does this one actually address? I feel like one of them is specifically like adopted in to another family.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's the main character that is experiencing this, but it's just delightfully lovely. The art is exactly like you see on the cover. It is not a bait and switch book in which the interior art is way different than the cover art. It is just like this. And it is a very sweet book. It feels high stakes, but not so much it's going to stress you out. It's just one of those, like, let's see what happens next books. And you know me, I'm one of the very first people to say, please don't make more superhero books. If you were doing an independent book, do anything else because there's so many of them out there. But in this case, it feels just fine.
And it's already super saturated in the market. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is a hard thing to say to people that if it's not Marvel or DC, it's not me personally saying it, but the market says that people are unwilling to stretch their budget to buy a superhero book that is not Marvel or DC, although it's ridiculous because many of them are very exceptional.
Yeah.
But something there's psychological happens there in people's pocketbooks. They'll spend another $100 a week on independent books, but for some reason they've got some kind of secret budget that happens in their brain.
I have a theory with that. I think it's because they already know what they're signing up for with Marvel and DC because they've been seeing it for years. They've been seeing it since the 80s. And if they find another publisher for some reason and they find another superhero, they're like, maybe it's not going to be as good as DC or Marvel because I don't know what I'm signing up for. That's what my theory is. I've been theorizing that for a few years.
I think we might be seeing the end to that school of thought, mostly because of not because the comic books were a hit, because they were, but that didn't hit regular, the mainstream until recently, but because of things like Boys and Invincible and Jupiter's Legacy. Those are all superhero universes, which are completely, everyone's bought into. So maybe they'll think to themselves, okay, I should totally jump into another superhero universe because it might be really amazing, because many of them are. Yeah. All right, this one is also a brand new book. This is by, I can't remember Tropiano's first name. Why is my brain broken? This is a cool book called Beyond the Beyond. And starts out with, I'm guessing they're a husband and wife team, astronauts. They could just be a couple that are, looks like going through the universe and mapping worlds and sending that information back to whoever they're working for, and then then they use that information to go and harvest whatever's useful from that world or to populate it or something. But they find this world and then immediately something catastrophic happens, which obviously results in maybe their death. We don't know. We don't see it. There's a bright flash of light. And then it jumps forward to who I think is very obviously like at least one of their children and somebody else that kind of they've really made themselves pretty obsessed with trying to figure out what happened to their parents and have secret plans. They're definitely secret and not upfront about going. It looks like it's black hole related. There's a black hole image that keeps popping up, like that cool like circle of light with a flat line through it.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you like sci-fi, space odyssey, like this is like more serious, not like a fun lark. Beyond the Beyond might be your thing.
The way that you described it gives me a mixture of Bravest Warriors with like that subplot of them trying to get their parents back and Outer Worlds a lot, like the way that they send the information back and how it's used. That's definitely what it's given me. I definitely need to check that one out as well.
It'll also make you feel a little bit like, what is the mother character in Portal? Is it
GLaDOS?
GLaDOS.
Yeah.
They have these ball eyeball things that follow them around and either help them or probably hinder them, if I'm guessing. Like everything that is an eyeball ball always feels like it's up to something. So,
and always
Josh, hi. Oh, My Hero Academia, yeah, represent. And I see that Garrett Shaver's on and shoot. Your turn.
Let me see. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go with Dark Ages just to clear out this whole thing. So I feel like the concept's really cool. Maybe it's because I haven't read the first 5 copies. Because I did out of the blue read volume 6, but not bad. Like it. So first volume, from what I'm aware of from the synopsis, is that one of the big bads, basically sent the entire Marvel universe into the Dark Ages. So there's no more power, no more electricity, basically post-apocalypse. Which they do mention that. And it is very cool. Like I said, maybe it's just genuinely because I didn't read the first 5 volumes. But if I did, I would have loved this. I love the concept. It's fantastic. It's honestly like really cool. The way that they integrate like how their powers aren't really affected by the fact that there is no more power. And it gives the I guess Spider-Man in this universe like a lot more advantage because there's no cars interacting with them. They have a lot more places to swing and they have a lot more ability to be stealth.
Fact checking really fast. Keep going.
And Deadpool is in this. He's not I wouldn't say that he's a major plot character, but he does a very good job of just suddenly ending the story. It is very entertaining, though. I strongly recommend it. And if you have read the first 5 volumes, I recommend picking this one up, if I'm being completely honest. And the art style in this is gorgeous. It is amazing if you love post-apocalypse like art style. It is beautiful, and I strongly recommend picking it up.
And I did fact check. It is the first appearance of a version of one of the characters you know already from the Marvel Universe. So if you were collecting versions of Miles Morales, you should get that book.
He is indeed in that. So.
Okay. This is one of 2 amazing Hulk-related books today. This one is Hulk number 5, and there's been news about it all over the internet that people know that they should be getting this, and number 6. And it also mentions number 9 in this one. So clearly you know you have to have everything that Case is writing from now on. So the storyline that has been going on for the last 5 issues or 4 issues continued with this, which is the Starship Hulk idea, in which there is the ability to drive the Hulk if you can control him. So this one continues with that cool idea that they started in Immortal Hulk, in which there are many, many Hulks that are all occupying the same body. They're kind of fighting for control all the time. And in this one, it's a very simple, more simplified, that they're just really trying to control Bruce Banner. In this tale, you jump back and forth between Bruce Banner, older Bruce Banner, being basically tortured by the General Ross Thunderbolt, who is trying to get from him some very specific information, which I don't want to spoil. And it jumps back and forth between that and the giant battle that is taking place with the Spaceship Hulk body. So just continuing on the storyline, which I believe last issue presented this like weird spider creature. He's pretty awesome. And a bunch of Marvel zombies. So if you like Marvel zombie characters, you get to see the Spaceship Hulk totally destroy them.
And especially with, it's a show coming out, isn't it, for Marvel Zombies, or is it a movie? I can't remember.
It was part of What If, and in the second season, they're going to do another episode.
That's right. It's so good. It's sad, too, because some of my favorite characters are like, oh, no. This means at least one of their versions is dead. All right, so I'm going to tell you a story about an awesome book called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Long ago, they introduced a cool character named Venus, but and then everybody, fast forward to this last year in which they introduced Jenica, who is a human character who gets subjected to the special ooze and becomes, the stuff that takes the entirety of humankind and makes them into the animal versions of themselves, which is what's happened in the book. There are barely any humans anymore. They're all animal things. And so Jenica became the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It's a female. Well, that's not true. Venus was the first one. And so you actually get reintroduced to her character. This is her here. And it's really her first appearance in the current continuity. So it is a first appearance of this character in the universe for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it is a pretty heartbreaking entrance. You will feel for this character the way you felt for Nebula. When you see her getting physically taken apart by her father. That's kind of the stuff, mood, and tone you will get from this book. Don't miss it. You should be able to find it at your LCS because, giant hearts to Eastman and team. They actually told us ahead of FOC that this was going to be happening so we could actually order properly. Thank you. This is the way comic books should happen because, it didn't break the world that retailers knew that there was going to be a first appearance and we ordered properly and everyone will still want it anyway. So, yeehaw!
Works out. Then I think I'm just gonna break down because I had them ordered from least favorite to most favorite. I did enjoy everything that I read, to be fair. Because I'm a big art person.
You can hate stuff if you want.
That's true. Well, I'm also new into reading comics, as Jen said at the top of the hour. So I'm still trying to branch out, and I grew up on the movies from Marvel and DC, so I'm branching out into comics. And I did hear about this guy. I love anything that involves vampires. I have yet to read Marvel Zombies. I did flip through it from a previous friend's, and I love anything that includes any mythology. And this guy was honestly kind of cool. If I'm being honest, I love the art in it. Let me pull up my notes.
Supposed to say any fool thing that comes in your head, like I do.
Yeah, well,
You're too organized.
Yeah,
Totally look up your notes.
It is, and a lot of comics that work along with the style of heroes having to deal with something. Everybody, villains and heroes, are having to deal with an epidemic of vampires. And their closest friends are vampires, and they're both trying to deal with the fact that all their friends are basically dying. And they're all in a mutual standing of this is an issue. It is gorgeous. There's a couple of twists, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of surprised by. It is very macabre, I will warn. It is very graphic. There is swearing, but it is censored.
And it is marked clearly 13+.
Yes, but it is a very entertaining one, and I recommend checking it out. I honestly, because of me not reading the first one, not gonna lie, it's pretty good to jump into if you already have a general synopsis for what the whole series is till now. I jumped into it not knowing anything else besides knowing the general synopsis and the plot summary of everything, and I enjoyed it even without reading the first couple of volumes. So I recommend checking it out, and just looking for it in general. The art style is gorgeous too, and as you can see Batgirl on the front of the cover. And honestly, just in general, just I can't even stop repeating. It's a really good book, and I love the art in it. It is gorgeous, and it definitely does touch on the dystopian type of art style. So yeah,
Right. It's always helpful to have these kinds of reviews because you're brand new to comic books. So someone that's watching that's brand new to comic books might think, oh, I'm terrified. I can't just jump in anywhere.
Yeah.
People will nerd shame me, or I won't understand what's going on. I think that the people that write comic books know that people might pick up that book as the first one. So they tend to try their hardest to make it so that you don't have to be have a master class in reading comic books and just kind of jump in anywhere and be like, of course, clearly this
and
is
you can jump
this
in
character.
with this, and if you already have like a basic plot summary of the rest of the series, you'll be fine if you just pop into volume 6. If I'm being completely honest, I already had a general idea, and I was completely fine reading it, even not knowing like the rest of the series. So yes, I recommend that one.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hey, Matt Cole, how are you doing? Matt Cole's got a book coming out. Was it today, Matt? Is Glopple 2 officially dropping today or tomorrow? Saw your messages today, but it was a crazy busy day for us.
Yes.
All right. So you guys never know. There's creators that show up all the time on the feed.
Yeah.
So, Matt, if you want to share your contact information for wherever the Glopple, here, there, or anywhere, tomorrow, you totally put up your links. As Stan the Man said, every comic is someone's first. Oh, he was a wise man, that Stan.
Rest in peace.
That's right. He was actually this. I don't know what he was like as a young man. I understand that people say there was some edginess to him.
Yes.
But the man I knew, which was like, old man
A sweetheart.
Stanley, was super sweet.
It's such a shame I never got to meet him. It was like one of my goals to meet him. It's a shame.
Yeah, he loved the industry he was in for sure.
You could see it.
All right, congratulations! You have weighted the gap between Something's Killing the Children number 20 and 21. It is time. It is time. It is time. And it appears, I'm just going by what I know of all the ones that I have read, which is not every single one of them, because I jump around a little bit, jump around, jump up and get down. Sorry for the earworm, but it looks like to me that there's a new form of whatever this thing is that's been killing the something that's been killing the children for the entire time. I don't remember it looking like this, and I'm kind of freaked out because this makes me as freaked out as John Carpenter's The Thing.
Ooh.
Because that makes me uncomfortable when you have things that look like human.
And I love that. That is I have a very soft spot for very macabre horror.
Yeah, and don't worry, Erica is in this issue, although she's not the main focus of it. This one is more focused on one of the kids and them figuring out that there's been a big slaughter. Go figure. In this one, so we get a copyright claim. Do you have to? Okay, fine. I think that me singing it definitely will not cue any of the oh no, our song is out there. So there are some great covers to this book. I don't know if this is the A or not. This one's got really beautiful colors
All
in
of
it.
the covers look gorgeous, though, from what I have seen.
Oh, this one's called the Big Variant.
The big boy.
This is Big Variant. It's a B with an I upside down and G.
But all of the variants for this are gorgeous, and that's not even an understatement. They are all equally beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're lovely. And since we're going to talk about creepy things, why not? We'll go to Playthings. I have interviewed this creator a couple times. Let me get their name correctly because they don't actually put it on the front here. So I'm going to make sure I credit it correctly.
So it's right next to where you. Oh, right next to me.
So this is written and colored by John Clark, and the pencils and inks are by Travis Williamson.
Ooh.
This is Playthings. I like it because it's told out of order.
Oh.
So it doesn't tell you right away where this clown thing came from. But the basic story is that I believe it's a single mom and daughter have a box that just magically shows up in their house. When you see it happen, you'll be like, that's not right. And in the box is this clown, I think. We'll just call it Mr. Giggles because that's what I don't remember for sure. But the little girl loves it and adores it. The clown talks, but it sounds like one of those, like you pull the string.
Oh,
Hi, hi, hi.
Love
Whatever.
those.
But also the little girl says he's saying other things to her. So this is just the stuff of nightmares for people that are creeped out by clowns. So I will just give you a trigger warning that Playthings is full of scary clown action. But the art style is super cool. It's this is a good representation of the art that's inside the book. And it is a really good spooky spook for you.
But I feel like the Jack in the Box style kind of clown, it works with like whenever it's very mysterious and very like sudden and suddenly in your house.
And that's uncomfortable.
I'm actually the most scared of things that you don't see them move, but the next panel has them already moved.
Yeah.
That's too much for me. Mike Libby's ready for that one. You will not be disappointed, Mike. The art looks so much different than anything else there is out there, just to me. And I read a lot. And yeah, I love the disordered telling of the tale. So that always I feel like is a super high skill thing to write, because it can go very wrong if you don't know how to do it properly. And this is done well. So
Perfect.
Lantern.
Then I will leave this guy to last because I actually fully went through and read that earlier, and it's heartbreaking if I'm being completely honest. So Immortal X-Men. I grew up with X-Men, like the movies. I watched Logan in theaters, made me sob. Tears shed. This guy definitely, because it is obviously a volume 1. It's a character intro. Like the very moment that you go to Krakoa.
Krakoa is right.
There we go. The moment that you go and the moment that it's shown. I can't think of what his name is. Magneto. That's what it is. Magneto is officially stepping down. And that's the first time that you see him in the comic. And then everybody's like, but why? It is amazing. I'm also a massive fanboy of Nightcrawler, and I love him in this. He is hilarious. That is with tons of bias, to be fair. But it is definitely a character intro. That is for sure. I love the art in it. Let me see what notes I took actually, because I took a lot of notes.
You can take your notes.
Let me see.
Notes are good. Then you don't just ramble like I do all the time.
Exactly. I try to not ramble, but it works. Definitely a character intro. It is very fast paced. That is a warning that I will give. It gets right into the action, so it's not like a really very slow transition. It definitely is like, hey, here are these characters, and also here's some plot. And here's also some massive action that's about to happen. It's probably like 5 pages in, and there is a massive plot thing that happens. If I spoil it, it'll spoil the entire story. So I will not. But I'm
guessing that the title of it might have something to do with it.
It does not actually.
Oh,
yes.
Bait and switch.
It is, yeah. Because it does bring up the X-Men. That is for sure. I mean, like every character that's on here is introduced. For the most part, at least. But I do recommend checking this out at your local LCS. It is definitely a strong recommendation of mine after being a fan of at least the movie franchise my entire life. So I do strongly recommend this, and the art in it is awesome, and I recommend it.
All right, Liam, I'm going to tell you something that will help you understand that awkwardness you see.
Yes.
Magneto has just come off of being accused of murdering the Scarlet Witch.
That makes sense.
And being put to trial for it.
Okay.
So that's the awkwardness.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Because he was suddenly like, I'm resigning. And everybody was like, cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for making it not awkward. So we have to ask you to leave.
Makes sense.
It is weird to have a whole X-Men universe in which the bad guys and the good guys are totally working together and living together. And, you know, there's still a little bit of like, I don't like you, but they've realized that it's better to be together, which is really the ideal thing that Magneto's been working for his entire life, of having all of mutant kind together. So good on him. He finally got it.
Perfect.
Shepherd is an awesome series out of Black Caravan, which is part of Scout. The regular series Shepherd, I will tell you about it so that you can understand what happens here in the Shepherd The Valentine, which is a single shot. Mm-hmm. So the Shepherd is about a dad whose son is supposed to be going to like the movies or something with his friends, but in fact goes to a party in which he, I'm sure, accidentally overdoses on drugs because it's his first experience with them, and it ends very badly, tragically from the get-go. And his father feels very deeply. His father is a professor of religious studies. Feels very deeply that there's something spiritual on the other side, and that his son is there, and that he needs him. Yeah. So the dad in this series kills himself to go over, because there's no like other way, right? It's not like he'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna book a flight. No,
it's not like Chronicle or anything.
No, but when he goes over, he actually finds this shepherd's crook.
Oh.
And it gives him special abilities and powers. It doesn't feel superhero. It feels very much more magical, or, you know,
very D&D
of the divine or something. And he fights demons and vampires and those kinds of things. Of course. That's the main series. There's Zion. I'm going to remember your first name. Is it Brent?
Yes.
I think I'm going to get it. We'll get it. And in this one, it actually is about his other children that were left behind. So this like makes your mind even more be like, wait, he left his other two children and wife to go after his son on the other side and not be able to come back. So it's about his daughter and son, and something happens to his daughter. His daughter actually has started to be able to see what I believe is like people that have crossed over.
Yes.
Ghosts. And she actually gets to see him in this issue, which is a very special thing that she gets to see him. So if you like heartwarming but also heartbreaking tales, Shepherd is for you. This is by Molinari and Molinari. It's a father and son team, which
makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yep.
And the art is just wonderful. Just know that the Shepherd is part of their nonstop series. So if that book sounded interesting to you, I think there's just a number one and then straight to the trade. So you can grab the whole trade. Shepherd number one trade is out there already for you. And before that, he actually self-printed them. So you might be able to find them in their original print as well.
That is definitely something I do need to check out. I wish I saw that when I went to the doctor earlier.
Thank you, Samuel. There's an IBC2 interview called 3x3, in which as part of my interview, I told 3 things that you shouldn't do in business, and things that I did clearly with experience, and 3 things you should do in business to make you successful. You can find that on the ibc2.com site, and there's a great many other ones from other retailers even smarter than me. You should go hunt those down, because there's some amazing retailers in the industry that will give you all the information you need to know if you ever thought about being a retailer.
Well, that works. Mm-hmm. So this guy, best for last. I've been excited about this since the moment I heard about it last week when I was doing a bunch of research, and it is so worth it. I strongly recommend it. It is very heartbreaking. It follows up Bruce Wayne being in jail, and it is 10 years into the future. And there is new Batman, and it is not really acknowledged who it is. But me being new and me not knowing much about DC, because I grew up with Marvel most of my life, The only thing that I have a knowledge of is someone yelling Terry on the first panel, and that is all I know.
Terry, huh? I
Yes.
don't even know that. I grew up in comic books.
Not sure. Don't know, but the suit in it is super cool. It is super overpowered. And it was found in the ruins of Wayne Manor. I know nothing else about why Wayne Manor has been destroyed, but
It often is destroyed.
often,
One
yeah,
place.
but it was found in the ruins of Wayne Manor, and that is a huge mystery, and it is the history between Bruce Wayne and it's not, I can't remember who the Robin is before Dick Grayson, but it is very heartwarming, and that version of Robin did honestly see Bruce as a dad. And Bruce realized after being in jail, as long as he has been, that he regrets that he did not see him as a son, he saw him as a little brother. And it is a very heartbreaking tale. That is what I will warn. The moment that I was like fully just like reading it and just taking my time to read it, I was like, wow, oh, okay, this is very depressing now. But it is definitely, this is one of the things that I will actually be genuinely continuing, because it's just awesome. And I do honestly want to know who is in the new Batsuit and who is the new Batman, because Bruce Wayne doesn't even know. And there is a huge twist at the end, and Harley is actually a single mother in this. And it does look like she does actually have some PTSD left over from being with Joker as long as she was. And you can see it because the initial panel that she is introduced, you can see the trauma just slowly forming. And it is beautiful, and like I said, it is heartbreaking, and I strongly recommend it if you are willing to cry at a comic. So yes,
always
recommend checking this out. It does also have little footnotes in it that if you want to, you can go into certain comics or like certain things that are footnoted in this, that you can go back and get a little bit more backstory, but you really don't need to, if I'm being completely honest. So
Samuel's dropping some major knowledge over here. Looked like the creative team announced that when this hits, that they're going to take a break and do a Red Hood White Knight series.
That's what they were saying. That's one of the footnotes in there, is that they were talking about a release of the White Knight series. Actually, that is mentioned in a panel that has Red Hood in it. It's not a major plot thing. It's just in there. So yes. That is actually one of those that I'm actually going to pick up as well. So.
Then that something I didn't know, that in the White Knight universe, Jason Todd's the first Robin.
Okay.
And then Dick.
It is Jason, because he does mention Jason in it. So that makes sense.
Okay. Oh, goodness. Oh, how am I going to choose? I can't. All the ones in the top row are so amazing. I can't even. All right. This one is Hulk Grand Design. This one's by Jim Rugg. The other grand designs have been by Ed Piskor. What you need to know about these, and the reason why you should hunt down all the grand designs, is that unless you have been around since the dawn of time of comic books and are immensely rich and can afford to buy all the originals, or you buy the big omnibuses and have read all of the original source material, the only way to get all the knowledge of all the combined books in actual, like, how they happened order is to get Grand Design, because this is a very condensed version of all of the things you need to know in order, the way they happened in the comic books, all put together in very simple art and beautiful imagery. It looks like old school art, but it is redone for this. And you could read even the first 2 pages of this and know more probably than you ever thought you would know about early Hulk origin. There were things that I had completely forgotten and make a lot more sense. Like, I did not know that Rick Jones was a teenager that was accidentally wandered into the Gamma Zone when Bruce Banner was being exposed. That's why Bruce went in there and got exposed. So that's where Rick Jones came from, and I didn't know that. I was this many years old when I found that out while reading this. So there you go.
I did almost look at that. I did almost grab it, but I thought I would have needed to know more about Hulk, so I did not unfortunately grab it. But now I definitely do need to read it. I used to be a massive Hulk fan. Huge fan.
Huge. We say huge. Right, they're all of the books are mine to the end, right? You've already got yours?
Yes,
Okay.
I already read them all.
And by my friend Marco Fontanelli. Look, the 1 week he's not going to pop on is when I actually got his book. So also you'll know Marco's work from a really cute book called King Ghidorah about a Godzilla type monster who trounces an entire city only looking for pizza. Look, there's Andrea! Molinari, what's up, man? We just got through reviewing your awesome book.
And I am very much wanting to check it out now.
Mm-hmm. The editor, excellent. Okay, so now you can tell me, Andrea, because I was really hoping to have Marco come on to tell me. There's an image in this book that, okay, I'm a huge, huge fan of Van Gogh. And although this entire book is done in like these colors, blacks and reds and a little bit of whites, there is an image that looks for all the world to be very much homaging his famous like The Room painting, where it's like
his bedroom,
the bedroom from the asylum. So you're gonna have to find out for me if that's purposeful or is that's just me wishing things into existence, and if it's true, then I want that page really bad. But Pentagram of Horror is really a cautionary tale about selling one's soul for what you think you desire. And in this book, it's really just about one character, and he sold himself for being able to do, I think, art. And he knows that in 10 years the devil's going to come back for him, which is a very classical Satan image. And there is a big twist. I'm not going to wreck for you. This one is a book that is specifically beautiful, even though it is very gruesome in its imagery. So if you like kind of like dark horror, beauty. Did you poke Marco? Good. He's probably sleeping. Yay! So we might have a Marco to be able to come and tell me for sure. Marco's on.
There he is.
All right, Marco, I have a question for you. I can't show I don't think I can show in the interior of this book. But, hey, hello. So there's an image in this book that looks a lot like a famous painting from Vincent van Gogh, or that is kind of like homaging it. Am I allowed to? Yay! You don't sleep. So Marco's coming to us all the way from Italy. So if you wonder,
wow.
Yeah. Marco has been super faithful for popping on.
Yeah, sleep is for the weak.
But I want to just show you some of the imagery. I'm going to show you the not like
that
18
is
and up.
gorgeous.
But there's the image. Is this Van Gogh reference? Because
yes, that's actually the front of his house, I believe.
I need this. I need this piece of art. If it's practical art, I
want
to buy
both of those as a frame in a living room somewhere. Oh, this is.
But the art, the whole book is just to die for beautiful.
Oh, my heart is melting looking at that art.
And it's well edited because I never once thought to myself, this book has too many words or not enough words. And it's perfect. So what a great team for getting this together and making it really pretty. So if you look at this book and you're like, oh man, I like this guy's art, you should pick up King Ghidorah. It's like where this is just like kind of more stark imagery, really focusing in on what's important. The King Ghidorah is like super detailed about everything in the backgrounds, all those things. Josh loves it. perfect. No lie, I lived in Chicago for a couple of years, and I used to go once a week, once every other week to the Chicago Art Institute and stand in front of that painting and cry. Not a lie. There's something heartbreaking of what the way that painting is composed, notwithstanding knowing why he's there and his mental state. There are things about that room that made me crazy, like the green louvers on the window are painted in such a way that you know they could never actually close, and that breaks my heart.
I did not actually know that was his room in the asylum. I did not know that. I thought that was his room in his house.
I think that's asylum time, or it might be the room from his house, but he painted it when he was in his asylum.
Which makes sense. I mean, this is the same man that cut off his ear while having a mental breakdown.
There was something super special about his relationship with his brother, but it also was close enough that when his brother died that he just lost it.
Yeah.
Okay. And to round it up, he was from another planet. Maybe so.
I could see it.
If you can only get one crazy book this week, like you could only really afford to get one thing, and you ever loved comic books or comic book shops, and you wanted to have a book that will make you probably cry a lot, and I apologize for it. I really tried hard not to bawl openly at the restaurant I was in.
Oh.
But so it is very easy to tell what this book is about. It says comic shop owner isn't a job, it's a calling. I don't know if this is autobiographical, but it feels like a real person writing about their real life. It really takes the main character. This is the art style. It's in a very cartoony style. And starts from the beginning of his first exposure to comic books at his grandparents' house. He is raised by his grandparents, and they try to take him away from the thoughts of like his parents perishing so they perish in a fire that he survives only because firemen find him in time. So he's exposed to his grandpa takes him up the attic and shows him his comic books, and his grandpa tells him a very good piece of wisdom, and you guys should probably also take this to heart. Like, don't let the value of something be in what someone else says it's worth. Have the value of something be in what it means to you. Yes. And the book, in all of its he went to go visit the Marvel offices when he went to New York with his grandfather. And while there, this is the early days of Marvel, and comic book art wasn't what it is now. Exactly. Someone handed him an original page of art that he went home and gave to his best friend. And, with never a thought of like, this could be valuable someday. It was like the joy of seeing someone else's face when he shared something that meant something to you, just like his grandfather's face when it meant something to share those books, because his grandfather gave him those books with no thought of ever getting them back or any of those kinds of things. And when it goes through all of his life, all of the things that happened to him, his connections to comic books and him opening a store. And I'm not going to ruin any of this book for you because there's so much stuff in the book. But there is a big meaning to this number one. It is the entirety of the book. It's like wrapped up in a big bow for you. And you will love, love, love it. It's one of these books that I did not know I needed in my life, but I absolutely need in my life. I'm thinking to myself, I sure hope that there's somebody out there that thinks about our shop the way that this guy's customers thought about his, even if it's an imaginary book. And this isn't based on a real comic book shop, which I hope it is. It is so beautiful. It is a love letter to all the LCSs that have come and gone over time and are still here and have struggled to make things happen, even through
a
pandemics and UPS strikes and Marvel going bankrupt. And there have been a lot of crazy stuff that has happened in this industry since I've started. So this is to tell you that you are the reason that LCSs survive. You don't have to go in and pile money on the the counter every week. It's really not what they need.
That's me.
They just need to see you once a week or once every other week to buy a book.
Yeah.
Any comic book will do. If we all go and do that, they'll be just fine. Nobody's in business in comic books really because they want to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
They're in the business of comic books because they love comic books.
And that's why I got into reading them in the first place. Yeah.
Yep.
The first intro that I ever had was watching because my dad forced me to read it before I watched the movie. And I have fallen in love, and I started reading them when I was like a senior in high school, and I don't regret it from the moment that I started. And I was a customer before I even started working here, and there was a reason for that, obviously.
Yeah, I did. Liam told me the story of him coming in and being a regular customer for years, and it's just like everything that he said made me very happy because it was everything I intended for the business, for everyone to just come and have this be their happy space.
It is the first time that I felt welcomed as a human being, and that was me coming here. And I have never been more happy since I started coming here. And I'm not even trying to make you cry. It's genuine. This is a really genuine thing. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
It's the same with me too.
I'm about to cry too.
Like, it's serious. You don't understand. This is like the first comic book store that you can come in as a person and feel like a person.
Exactly.
Because other places you go, you feel so unwelcome.
Or I feel pressured that I have to buy something.
So. I was that awkward kid too.
This is our safe space because you built it that way, Ms. Jen.
Sorry. This is not a cry.
I'm about to cry too.
All right, I love you guys so much. Go and support your LCSs this week, or find a new one to support because everyone's got to have a new comic book shop at some point. You can have 2 or 3.
Support small businesses.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.